Okay, good morning. So we'll continue the socialism. We have started the concept of socialism. The some kind of various kinds. The communist, the reformist socialism, and also we have to discuss the origin and also some of the important elements of the socialism. So we have discussed common ownership. We also discuss what is called the community. And now let's come to what is called the social equality, which is the third feature or the element of socialism. Equality is one fundamental concern of the socialism. Okay. Why socialism, why equality is important? Because the capitalist system created inequalities and hardship to the workers. So therefore, one way of bringing the society together, one way of bringing what is called the egalitarian system is through equality. So equality is the central value of the socialism, and they have given importance primacy to equality over than any other values. So like the political rights, the civil rights, or the freedom. They have given equal importance to equality, and there are reasons for it. For them, some kind of equality or egalitarian form of society is important, and it is also equality is also important. What they're saying is that it's a kind of a guarantee to the social stability and cohesion, and also social equality encourages the individuals to identify with fellow human beings, and for them, social equality, or in the sometimes it is called also economic equality, is the prerequisite for the exercise of legal and political rights. So socialists will argue that what the liberals talk about the equality of legal rights and political rights doesn't have any sense if there is no social equality, if there is no economic inequality. So those who are powerful, those who have the resources, the capitalist class or the rich section of the society, they will control the state. They will have some kind of a monopoly over the political power and economic power, unless if we don't have what is called the economic equality and social equality. So in practice, economic equality has given importance in the communist system and socialist countries. So please remember that. Just give an example. Say in the health sector and the education, the state has given the responsibility to provide education to all. So that's one example of the social equality where they have given this importance. Other is the what is called the fraternity. It's a sense of being belonging to the humanity, or what they call the comradeship. They prefer the cooperation rather than the competition, and they favor what is called the collectivism rather than the individualism. For socialists, the cooperation brings the energies and strengthens the society, where the inequality creates the problem. So competition, on the other hand, they say brings what is called a conflict, resentment, and also hostility in the society. So cooperation is much better as far as the socialist is concerned. Other thing is the fifth one is the need. For them, whatever the material resources benefits they have, it should be produced according to the requirement, not for the what is called the profit. Okay. They believe what is called the from it's according to his ability to is according to his need. In other words, your production, your economic system will be according to the requirement, not for the profit. There's no compulsion to produce. So in other words, it emphasized the need to fulfill, satisfy the basic needs like hunger, trust, shelter, health, personal security. So these are the more important thing as far as the socialists are concerned. And by ensuring this, the individual can participate in what is called the social and political life. Now, last and sixth one is the what is called the social class. For them, socialism, always consider the class conflict or the some kind of a class differences in the society in the past, and also when you talk about in the socialist stage, it's also kind of class politics where the workers, which are the dominant, will be the given importance in the socialist society. So in a way, it's a kind of a distribution of income and wealth among the equally as far as possible among the individuals. So class is a significant social cleavage. So they want to reduce or abolish that kind of conflict. They also consider associated with the what is called an oppressed or the exploited working class. So working class is an agent in the social change or the revolution, and class division must be removed through economic and by removing economic and social inequalities. Okay, so thus see, socialism stands for an economic system, under which the production and ownership will be under the some kind of common or state control. So liberty and equality granted to the individuals are empty, useless, unless you provide what is called the reorganization of the economic life and you provide economic and social equality. So they have given importance to the social and economic equality rather than political and civil equalities. Okay. And socialism, as I said, began as a reaction to the what is called the capitalist system and the inequalities, particularly the private property, which has created and which made the individual more selfish and not bother about the workers and the others in the society. However, one contribution, please remember, of the socialism is that it has contributed to the significant change in liberalism and liberal democracy. Okay, and it also, socialism also has contributed what is called the democratization of political and economic process across the world. So they wanted to prevent what is called revolution. They want, as a result, workers have been given importance in terms of ways, in terms of their living conditions. So you had not only transformation within the society through revolution as socialism, but also within the capitalist system and liberal democracies, socialism also has contributed to the larger emancipation of freedom to the individuals and also to the countries. So these are the some of the features, some of the what is called the elements of the socialism. Now let's come to some kind of what is called the different types or kinds of socialism. It was something which was being developed and practiced in different countries, and this is important from your point of the short note questions. So one is what is called the Fabianism. The basic principles of Fabianism, Fabian society form what is called the basis of the British socialism. So in 1884, Fabian society was formed by Sidney Webb, George Banasso, Annie Besant, etc. And they wanted to bring socialism in Britain. So they appealed to all the classes, not only the workers, but to all the classes. And they said, look, the capitalism is evil. So therefore, we want to bring this change in the society. How do you want to bring the society? The method is through a very slow, gradual process, through the democratic state and what is called the constitutional means. So they don't believe, or they reject what is called the revolutionary method and the class conflict, class struggle notion of the the socialists or particularly the Marxists. So they then accept that. And the other thing is that they said instead of class consciousness, there should be community consciousness in order to bring the unity in the society. So they regard the state as a representative and the trustee of the people, and they also advocate the expansion of the suffrage, that is, more people should be allowed to voting right, civil service should be trained properly, and there should be equal opportunities. So decentralization of power in the economic and other things, it is the prerequisite. And they believe in the parliamentary model, parliamentary process, and of course the Fabian societies, they form the backbone, intellectual backbone of what is called the Labour Party, which is one of the important party in Labour, which form the government. Other is the Conservative Party. Okay, so that is the Fabianism. Other thing is what is called the syndicalism. Syndicalism originated in France, and they attacked what is called the collective state. What syndicalism did is that they accepted the general principles of the Marxist notion of the society. That society, you have two opposing classes, and the modern state is dominated by the capitalists. So they accepted this notion of the Karl Marx as far as the society and the classes are concerned. For them, root cause of all the evils is the private property. However, they rejected the dictatorship of the workers, and they said that they propose, what is called the trade unions, or what they call the syndicates, and of course they justify use of violence and general strike, and they suggested two types of trade unions. One is the local syndicates, that is local body. Other is a national system of syndicate affiliations. So after abolishing the state, the workers will hold the power, and they are more concerned with the removing of the inequalities and the problems created by the capitalist system rather than the future blueprint of the society. So look at the syndicalism. It is something practiced or developed to some extent in France. Now last one is what is called the guild socialism, and guild socialism is something, it has birth in Britain or UK. It was the combination of the English feminism, which we just discussed, and also the French syndicalism. So it is a combination. It has the features of both feminism and syndicalism. So trade unions represents the germ of the future organization of the industry and the primary objective of the the guild socialism is what they call to establish two democracies. One is the democracy of the producers and democracies of the consumers. So they are giving importance to both the producers as well as the consumers within the framework of state. Of course, they accept the state should continue, and they favor what we call the federal structure of the state, and they also want what is called the representation of two types. One is the functional as well as the geographical representation. What we have today in terms of constituency is it's a geographical representation. They said it has some problem, so they want what is called the functional representation also. And they criticize the capitalism for bringing slavery of the masses and condense the West system, and they want to establish what is called the one political parliament, and one is the what is called the economic parliament. So the local problems will be handled by the local regional guild or the trade union. Other is that state would handle the national affairs. Okay, so so in other words, they want both economic and political democracies. Of course, these three what we have discussed so far, feminism, the guild socialism, and also syndicalism, doesn't exist, but at one point of time they has these ideas were developed, and some form of movement was there. So this is the the discussion on the socialism, and you please go through the material. And just one point here, the difference between the what is called communism and socialism is that communism is also a kind of a socialism, but for the Karl Marx and the others, socialism is a transition point phase between capitalism and communism. So they believe in the class and stateless society by the communism, but all the socialists do not agree to that notion. They accept the state, some of them accept the state, and they believe in the gradual transformation or bringing the socialism. They don't believe, many of the socialists do not believe in what is called the revolutionary method or balanced method. Okay, so if you look back to the communism, then you can compare some of these differences between socialism and communism also. So if you have any problem, we can discuss later on. For today, we'll end here. Thank you for joining the class.